Steak and Ale forever. 60 years, baby.
So, Paul, are you from the East Coast?
I am. How did you know that?
Well, I did my homework, and I'm from New York as well.
Are you? What part?
I was born in the Bronx and
Okay.
raised upstate in Orange County, a place called Middletown.
Okay. All right. I'm Lower East Side kid because that's as far as my grandfather and grandmother moved off of Ellis Island, and they
Okay,
called that America, like millions of other Italians.
it's good. Well, no, Paul, look, it's great to have you on. I'm here with Paul Mangiamele. Is that how you pronounce it?
Uh,
Mangiamele.
that's
Tell me.
close enough.
No, no, you tell me.
Okay, so Italian,
Of
Mangiamele,
course, mine.
Mangiamele.
So, Mangio is very popular in my house.
Yeah,
So,
it's the centerpiece of all mankind.
Paul Mangiamele, the
Perfect.
chairman and CEO of legendary restaurant brands, the parent company of the iconic Bennigan's and Steak and Ale chains. And Paul, it's great to have you on.
Well, first I'm going to say that it's an honor to have our brands created by the late great Norman Brinker celebrate their 60th anniversary for Steak and Ale, and as you can see, I'm wearing my colors proudly, and our 50th for Bennigan's. And then we also have a third brand, Bennigan's on the Fly, which is our hybrid brand that we can adapt and use for delivery or host kitchens or a physical plant, whatever the application may be. So it really gives our franchise partners a diversification strategy for those that want to diversify within a certain region. So it's working out quite well. And our journey has not been easy because we've gone through some up and downs and blips. But I got to tell you, I'm fond of saying that people and passion and culture will beat strategy and tactics every day of the week. And I'm fortunate to have my wife that's 100% behind our journey and trek forward. And we have, I think, for pound, since I'm from a boxing family, pound for pound, we're the strongest corporate support team, I think, in the industry. Uh, my senior vice president of operations for legendary restaurant brand, Sean Finn, has been with the organization now for almost 38 years. So that intellectual capital is what drives us forward because we're not, there is no turnover within our corporate team. Our second lowest tenure is 28 years. And so I'm very proud of, who and what we represent. And even though it sounds like soft pieces of a business, it actually is one of the main reasons for our success because that intellectual capital and the application of the legacy and the preservation of our culture started by Norman Brinker is still alive and well today and fueling a lot of the growth not only domestically but internationally. Like for example, uh, you know, in a couple of days we're celebrating St. Patty's Day, and so it's our St. Patty's Day with Bennigan's. As you know, we own it, but I thought it'd be great. So since everybody loves Bennigan's and steak and St. Patrick's Day, how about we expand that to the entire month of celebrations and celebrating our anniversaries and just having a lot of fun, of which we're doing. So we have great promotions going on both on the beverage side and food side. Of course, we have our green beer and corn cabbage, and, all the things that you would absolutely expect from us. It's all on our websites, bennigans.com and steakandale.com and legendaryrestaurantbrands.com. So you can see what the offerings are. But it's interesting because I think that the industry, especially the casual dining segment, has entered a new frontier. It's not the discounting just the discount. It's really delivering a value for the money, delivering, and especially in casual dining, delivering um, a special value proposition that people are looking for. And I divide it by the experience, right? The experiential piece versus just the transactional piece, where a lot of the QSRs and FSRs have kind of evolved downward into just discounting for discounting's sake, and where their consumer has actually been alienated and now are trading up into casual dining and not just Bennigan's and steak and it. Steak and Ale. Texas Roadhouse has benefited. Chili's has found their juju again, which, by the way, was run and founded, not founded by, but at least bought by Norman Brinker. It's an interesting dynamic because a lot of people think Norman Brinker created Chili's. He didn't. He bought it from the Levine brothers and did what I did, which is buy the guys out. Like I bought the private equity group out to have control of your brands and to continue to go forward. But Norman, the only two brands he ever created were the ones that we own right now and operate and continue to grow. So I think it's a pretty interesting story because we suffered through a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and there's nothing greater than a comeback after you've been taken down the road in a Chapter 7. The comeback has been strong. The people are, our raving fan base has been very appreciative of our efforts. And we're one of the few brands right now enjoying same-store sales increases. And our franchise pipeline is very full. And our franchise partners that we have been following the system and doing a phenomenal job. Again, not just in the States, but we have restaurants out in the Middle East. We have them in Cyprus. We have them in Mexico and Central America, soon to be growing into India as well as South Korea. Once some of the turmoil caused by some of the recent world events settle down a little bit, but again, very happy and very proud to be representing the brands that created casual dining as we know it today.
Yeah. And it started right here in Texas with Norman. Did you know Norman really well, I'm assuming?
Well, I actually had the pleasure of being able to call Norman Brinker my friend. My wife and I went to dinner with him several times. Phenomenal guy. Never worked for him, but who couldn't appreciate what he created so many years ago, 1966, and down in the Turtle Creek area for Steak and Ale, took off like crazy, and he was so insightful in realizing that back in those days, it was fast food or white tablecloth restaurants. There was really no niche in the middle. And so when he created the Steak and Ale brand, and we added the salad bars, and then we became a scratch kitchen, and and delivered again a phenomenal value proposition. It just took off, and then he sold it to Pillsbury, and then 10 years later created Bennigan. So to get the genesis of our brands in Dallas, which my team is in Dallas. We love Dallas. We love you know we are so working so hard trying to bring the brands back. But I answered this question about, well, why aren't you here? Why aren't you opening Steak and Ale in Dallas and Texas? We are trying, man. You have no idea how hard it is, number one. And number two, how serious I take the responsibility of finding, since we're 100% franchise, finding the right franchise partner or group, because we have to give it justice. We have to meet and exceed expectations when we open up. I'm not going to do a deal just to do a deal and open up with anybody and then taint the reputation of the brands,
Right.
And the reputation of Norman Brinker. I take it too seriously. I love these brands. I love the folks that represent them. And so when we come back to Texas, man, it's going to be all the things we're going to do them right, and we're going to do them to earn the trust and exceed the delivery of the concepts for both Bennigan's and Steak and Ale.
Yeah, that's a good point because you obviously have a reputation here, and then you've got your global reputation. People like myself and others that have been in Dallas for a long time, we remember the brand, and we'll have the same expectations when you come back. How do you think COVID changed things when it comes to service delivery and quality of food and the experience?
Well, it's a good question. It's a great question, and it's one of these things where previously casual dining and all categories actually of food service were used to unlocking the door at 11 and doing enough business to earn whatever money they were looking to earn. That disappeared. In fact, it was never a good strategy, right? Because you got to earn the business every single day. You got to earn the respect of those great guests that spend their hard-earned money in your restaurant, regardless of what the brand is. And so the pandemic forced, we were already working on some of these things, but
Yep.
it forced to think of other revenue generators like delivery, like Host Kitchen. And so now we're looking at catering, banquet sales, special events, the whole delivery aspect of it. We have a agreement with a third party doing host kitchens where we are bringing some of the Bennigans and Steak and Ale Concepts menu entrees to other restaurants, other hotels. And so everybody told me, you love this. Everybody told me, well, that's never going to fly. Well, we have 50 of them. We're opening 30 this year. So I guess I guess the naysayers are people that, if you want to believe them, that's fine. If you if it's interesting. I find that most of the naysayers never earned their bones by working in a restaurant. They never invested a dollar of their own. My wife and I put all our money on the win line for these brands. We're totally all in. And my team is totally all in. And I didn't bring in a private equity. I didn't bring in, family offices to invest in these brands because we wanted complete control and autonomy to bring back, that special piece of hospitality that Bennigan's and Steak and Ale were known for, which makes these brands so iconic. And so it's worked really well. But I always find it interesting how judgmental these naysayers have been when they've never had to be at risk ever on their own.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, private equity's changed a lot of industries, but
Hmm.
going back to COVID, I remember, and I'm not much of a restaurateur, but I try to get out as much as I can. The cream rose to the top during that time period because, again, the experience and then the quality of the food, and accessibility was a lot easier in Texas than it was in other states.
Right.
But it was clear who you were ordering in from. It was clear who are you going to go see that week. And then the personal aspect of it, knowing the manager, knowing the owner, knowing the waiters and waitresses it
Right.
was so key during that time, and it has to be continuing now.
Right. Yeah. You bring up a great point because, you, if you don't have passion for your brand,
Yeah,
if you don't have a desire, you don't have drive, you don't follow the culture. Like for us, I I so appreciate and respected the culture that Norman Brinker built, and we are, my my legacy would be to not only preserve it but to continue to grow it. So Bennigan's and Steak and it will be around for another 100 years. And but it's I have this saying where I say, the people, the passion, the culture, the desire and the drive and the high level of execution will be strategy and tactics every day of the week. You always read about these new fads, and fads never last. Food trends to kind of innovate on the menu, on the food side, on the beverage side. We do that all the time. It's a 25/8 mentality that we have. We bleed Bennigan's green every day of the week.
that's what I was going to
We
say.
have a heavy work ethic because 24/7 is not enough anymore. I mean, 25/8 is impossible. But again, it's a work ethic thing. It's like how much time and effort you put into your brand so that they can continue to grow and people will, continue to go to them. It's all about building traffic and frequency, but that loyalty, that emotional connection is built by the high level of execution and following and displaying that passion that you have for your brands. I don't think there's any way anybody else can describe it. A lot of times I hear the private equity people talk about, well, our ROI is this, and we're going to invest in IT, and then we're going to do the robotics. How about making hot food hot and cold food cold? And how about delivery times from the time you take the order to the time you deliver the food to the table? And in Steak and Ale and Bennigan's, it's just about a scratch kitchen. So we take pride in it. It's all homegrown, man. We take pride in the idea that we make this food from scratch and are true to the recipes. Like everybody loves Monte Cristo. So I thought, okay, let's trademark it. Now it's the world famous Monte Cristo,
Yeah.
and it's trademark like our Oh Baby Back Ribs are, and like our broccoli bites are, and like our celebration during the whole St. Patty's at Blarney Blast. It used to be where there was tents and people from all over the markets would come and visit our restaurants and just have a great time and have fun. But the value piece has always been delivered. You
Yeah.
always felt like, man, you know what? I don't know what all they did, but I just know that I'm coming back, and it's so much better than the other brands in our competitive set.
Yeah, and it's a consistent brand because people are familiar with it. So it's that combination between the restaurant you never heard of and the big brand names that you know the quality, and maybe it's not as quality, but you kind of capitalize on both sides of that equation. I have to
Right.
imagine your repeat customer rate is pretty high.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, um, uh, again, I feel so personally badly that we're not open and operating although we're in West Texas, we're in Borger, which is, run by our franchise partner, Rita Patel. She's phenomenal operator, does a phenomenal job. And then we have another one in Monaghan that I was just at, visiting with a new franchisee that's opening up in New Mexico. But, you know, if you guys want to take a ride, it's not around the block. It's not just down the street, but they do a fabulous job, and you can have so much fun at our Blarney Blast and enjoy the ambiance and the fun. And it's interesting, and people ask me a lot. It's like, so what's the differentiation then? Because there's a look-alike and blah blah blah, and it's like I'll tell you the differentiation for us. It's about fun and love. Of course, you got to have all the metrics. You got to deliver the product. You got to make it from scratch. You got to have high service levels. Yeah, you make it right for your guests. But when all of that is in place, it's about fun and love. And the team, my team, like I said, we have long tenure. They're fabulous. It's a fabulous group of folks. Our franchise partners are phenomenal. They follow the system, and they make these brands come alive every single day. So I tell you, so the respect and the esteem that I hold everybody in our system to is limitless.
So this Blarney Blast, do you remember the days of Lower Greenville and the St. Patrick's Day Parade?
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes.
Right?
It's funny that you say that because so many people, either online and they write to us or they tell me when they see me, uh, it's always a fun story. It's never like, well, Bennigan stunk back then and they stink now, and or Steak and Ale was a bad idea, and who wanted a salad bar, and everybody has a great story. How many people from I call them, there's two sets. There's internal guests, our team members, and the external guests. Always a great story. I met my husband there. I was the bartender. Yeah, I'm kind of old now, but if you open up in Dallas, I'll work there again. I'll work the door for you. I mean, that emotional connection, man, just touches you in a place that few brands do. And by the way, I hope for everybody that will listen to this, our franchise lines are open, man. They'll call
Yeah.
us up. If you got the financial wherewithal, you can put a group together. I will make you a hell of a deal to bring our brands that everybody loves so much back to the greater DFW area. But you got to have that passion, man. You got to have that drive.
You have to, yeah, and tying back to those nostalgic days of the Lower Greenville parades and the Dallas Cowboys winning Super Bowls. I remember when I first moved here from New York, I was in my 20s. Like I said, the parade and the Cowboys, and just a lot of energy and memorable moments. I remember
Right,
what
right.
you've been saying when he bought the Dallas Mavericks. It wasn't about a basketball game. It was about a memorable moment. And if you can get people to come and never forget that game with your family or your friends, you're going to come back, and you won't even remember if the Mavs won or lost, right?
No, and you don't care anymore because you've already had 7 beers. So
Right.
it's like now you
That's
just
true.
want to have some fun. And you bring up this great word that we kind of renamed nostalgia to new nostalgia
Ah.
because we're talking to new generations of people, man. I mean, we had our time in our heyday, but exposing the new generations to the value proposition, the fun, the music, the fixtures. I mean, the whole thing harkens back to a better time
Mhm.
for all of us. And people feel very comfortable. They don't exactly know why, and there's 1,000 points of contact for us that we have to make happen every single day, and that's the 25 A piece. But the nostalgia is working because it's a little bit vintage,
Yeah.
a little bit heritage. And again, everybody, I don't care what your walk of life is or how much money you make, everybody's looking for a value. And it's not just I'm bringing in my $2 off coupon. It's about, like for example, the St. Patty's Day, we are bundling. So in other words, we're pairing up entrees and appetizers and dessert for $50. And if you go to Three Forks, $50 is your first drink. So the value proposition to have appetizers and entrees and a dessert for $50, and you bring your family, or you bring a significant other, or just your friend, and enjoy that value is a catalyst to come in and enjoy that atmosphere, that nostalgia that we're growing around the country.
Well, and the purchasing power of the younger generation is much more important than it was when we were kids, right? When we were kids, it's like, hey, get in the car, we're going to dinner. Now, the kids are like, hey, mom, on TikTok and social media, they said they've got this really cool, program going on. Let's go to eat there. Are you guys investing a lot in social media?
Yes, we are. I mean, look, we might be vintage, but we also are adopting all the new technology. Not so much to uh, take away from the service, the one-on-one service aspect,
Mm-hmm.
but to take advantage of the technology that gives us an opportunity to not talk to 10 people, to talk to 10,000 people. And that's helping us a lot too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, look, before we close out here, I definitely want to give you the opportunity to, share anything, that we haven't covered, but talk a little bit more about this 50th anniversary milestone. It's huge for the brand, but it seems very personal to you, the Brinker family, just everything about it.
Yeah, it's funny, Eric, uh, uh, the son of Norm Brinker, he said, "You know what, Paul?" He said, "You give my father more publicity and more endorsement and more thanks and gratitude than the people at Brinker." I thought that was probably the nicest compliment
Wow.
I could ever get, because he's kind of lost. Him as the founder is kind of lost now. Um, but we give him all the credibility in the world. In fact, we have murals where we actually, to honor him, we have entrees named after him, but we have him, his face, his likeness is on our mural, where we have a wall of history from 1976 to the present day for Bennigan's and for Steak and Ale as well. But yeah, I think that, to answer your question, I think that people are coming around now to um, eschew the fad kind of brands and look to that value proposition again, and looking for a great value for the money. Like I'll give you an example. You go to Steak and Ale, and everybody remembers the Hawaiian chicken. And so it's two chicken breasts. It was one before, but I added two to deliver more value. Two chicken breasts, rice pilaf, and sauteed broccoli with a fresh loaf of home baked bread with the honey butter. I replicated it all, with the teams of, we worked really diligently, years in the making. And then you have all you can eat salad bar. So let me ask you a question. How much would you pay for that? All the salad you can eat, Hawaiian chicken, and a loaf of fresh baked bread with honey butter.
Gosh, these days, just for all of that,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, $40.
Yeah, 18. So you can't beat that. I always use the
What?
example because I love Chipotle, but they've been losing their way lately. Again, you can't lose your culture, man. You can't lose that culture piece. But anyway, um, I use the Chipotle example where I like to, when I'm on the road, I'll just go in there, get a little bit of protein, and uh, it's usually quick. But you got to go into a Chipotle, wait in line, and then you got to place your order. And sometimes they give you decent portions, and sometimes not. And you pay for your bowl of burrito. You get chips and guac. You get a soft drink, and you're over $20 now.
Yeah.
Well, you can go to Steak and Ale and get all of that with the Hawaiian chicken, the bread, and the all-you-can-eat salad bar. I'm sorry, man. If that value proposition is the best in all food stores, I don't know what the hell is.
Well, that's no, and that's what people are looking for these days. You know,
Exactly.
affordable with options, tastes good experience, good time. Okay, we're going to get you a couple franchisees here in Dallas for sure.
Come on. Come on,
We're
Ed.
gonna
We
make
can do it.
we're gonna make it happen. I
Couple
think
New York kids.
that's a good takeaway from this call. All right, so before we go, who's your favorite boxer of all time?
Uh, well, I can't say one. I love
Okay,
Muhammad Ali, Customato, who was my coach at the time. Took me
really?
to
Oh man,
took me
that's
to.
another podcast.
Oh, I tell you. But anyway,
Oh my gosh.
real quick, if you allow me a couple of
Yeah,
seconds. So Customato was like my grandfather in Italian, because he taught my father, he taught my uncle, and they went into, from amateurs into pro, and so it was only natural for me to follow that trend. So I got into the gym when I was a kid, and then I went to the Naval Academy when I came out. I actually wanted to go to the Olympics, so I trained with Cuss full time. And so Cuss and Muhammad Ali, a lot of people don't know this, were really good friends.
didn't know
He
that.
never trained them, but they were really good friends. He would always called them before the Foreman fight and said, "How can I? This guy scares the hell out of me. How can I fight him?" And he told them what to do. And Muhammad Ali did it. He ran across the ring, and he gave him a shot. Foreman never expected it. And then, everybody knows he lost in the eighth round. But so he taught me. So Muhammad Ali is one of my favorite. Floyd Patterson, who was Cuss's protege, is my other one. He never gets the credit because he was really a heavyweight. Yeah, Cuss would put rolls of quarters in Floyd Patterson's pocket, so he would look like a heavyweight when they weighed in. Great stories, man. Great stories. And Cuss taught me. By the way, I wrote a book called Bennigan's. I'm gonna plug it. Bennigan's Return to Relevance. And so Bleeding Green 25A. But in it, I give Cuss a lot of credit because he taught me discipline. And discipline is all about when you want to do something, you make yourself not do it, right? And when you don't want to do it, you make yourself do it. So you don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and do road work. Well, that's too bad, buddy. Get up, go do it, and force yourself to do it. And so I call that business discipline now. So you see a lot of athletes, like Shock is another great one, right? He had the discipline in basketball, and now he's a mega billionaire. But he had the athletic discipline to apply to business. And George Foreman did the same thing with the Foreman grill and all that stuff. And it's interesting to see how that transition from athlete and the discipline to be a champion can carry over into business, where you just force yourself, to work 25/8. But if you don't have the passion for it, right, it doesn't matter. But yeah, let's two New York kids bringing our brands back to Dallas is a worthy goal.
Yeah. Well, we need to
That's righteous.
we need to make that happen. That would be and then the next podcast we'll have the three of us, right? Your new franchisee and you and I.
We'll do it, and then you will come. You will be invited to the ribbon cutting when we open up our first store.
That'd be great. That'd be great. Show that book one more time. I want to see that.
It's on our
Quick
website.
plug. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because it's all about, because everybody counted our brands out, right?
Yep.
Bennigan's included. And so this is the return to relevance. How do you become relevant in a time when people think you're a dead brand? And so it's funny anecdote. So one of the reporters from a Dallas newspaper asked me, Paul, I did some research and not one brand ever has come back from Chapter 7. Ever. How are you going to do it? And I said, well, okay, so it's not a gotcha moment. I know you think it's a gotcha moment, but it's not. I'm going to say two words to you. And the first two I'm not going to say to you, but I will say the other two. Watch us. So now she's out of a job and it's 15 years later and we're continuing to grow. So, again, it's all about never listening to naysayers. It's always sticking to the discipline of bringing your goal forward, whatever the hell it is. But for us, it's the passion and the beauty and the love and the culture that has helped us so far. So I want to thank you. I know I'm taking away much more time, but
No,
Ed, I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to speak.
this is the legendary comeback. And I will say in closing here, both you and Norman have very important, significant others that really made it important. I'm sure that's a huge part of the success.
Couldn't do it without them.
No.
It's like I said, it's all about people, but my wife and my teams and my franchise partners and supplier partners are all part of this phenomenal group. And so, hey, let me just reiterate too, just real quick. So it's Bennigans.com, it's steakandale.com, And then it's legendaryrestaurantbrands.com, all one word. And that will give you, that's really the franchise website. But all the information that we've been doing, our journey for the last 50, 60 years is all on there.
Okay, great. Well, we'll send someone there, send our audience there. And Paul, this has been great. I enjoyed it.
Right back at you. Thank you.
All righty.
Go
Take care.
Queens.
Yes.
All right. Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.